Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Derek, for that. Wow. Can't believe there's so many people here to hear me speak again this year. It's hard to believe what has happened over this past year and all the changes and everything that is coming through. How quickly the last 12 months have gone is just mind-blowing, honestly. It is so great to be back here for this event here at the Southgate Center. The team here does such a great job of hosting events and making sure we're all feel so welcome. Let's show them some applause, please. Yeah. As I mentioned, thank you so much for coming this morning. Before we started, I wanted to recognize my council colleagues who are here with us today. Maybe just give everyone a wave when I call your name. We have Bernia Martin over here, Kate Leatherborough, who's right here, Connie Lauder, I think I saw her back there, Mark Schattenberg is here, and Liz Wismer is, there she is. Stand up. No, I'm kidding. It's okay. I feel so lucky to have such a great council, and I value the different ideas and perspectives we all have to share when debating items at council meetings. Gosh, it seems like a long time since last year's event. And again, a lot has happened this last 12 months, a lot of which I'll get into shortly. One of the most exciting things in my life is I became a grandpa in November. Yeah. I couldn't be more excited. I have a beautiful granddaughter. It's special. I get what my mom has always said now. I recently turned 50 in March, and believe it or not, so did my beautiful wife, Sarah, only a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. Which is exciting, because now we can become members here at Southgate Center. For those of you who may not be familiar with the center, Southgate Center has been providing services to Woodstock seniors for more than 60 years. The benefits Southgate Center offers help make a place where people can live a healthy, fulfilling life. It's really exciting to see the project moving forward with the construction tender open currently for the much needed expansion of the center, that they continue to offer the growing number of older adults in our community a place to connect, a place to keep active, and a place to belong. Because we want Woodstock to be a place where everyone feels like they belong, where everyone has a place to call home. That is why Council submitted to a housing pledge province in December, outlining the strategies we wanted to explore to help more people access stable, attainable housing. I know many families, including my own, are facing challenges with adult children looking for an attainable, because unfortunately there isn't much out there that's affordable these days, and a safe place to live. I don't want my kids or anyone's kids to have to leave Woodstock to make the dream of home ownership a reality. And on the other end of the spectrum, we need to ensure there are appropriate and affordable options for seniors and older adults to live independently, close to family for as long as they can. As we strive to reach our provincially assigned target of 5,500 new homes in Woodstock by 2031, it will be important to protect the quality of and place of our environment by using available lands effectively to increase density appropriately. At our last council meeting, we heard from a number of delegations who accept and are willing to welcome growth in our community, but who don't want to see it come at the expense of what Woodstock's known as the friendly city and the place they choose to call home. One only has to look at the number to know there is a housing issue, even locally. In 2023, we draft plan approved more than 3,500 residential units, which account for nearly all of the vacant residential land here in the city. Any guesses on how many years our land supply for new housing will last? Any ideas? One, well, we got a little bit more than that. We figure we're good for about the next 10 years. But then that's about it. Like we're at our getting that limit, we can see that coming. How about our rental vacancy rates? Any guesses?
1%.
Would you be surprised to learn that the average vacancy rate for a one bedroom here in the city is 1.3%? For a 2-bedroom, it's 0.3%. So there's a dire need. We clearly need to work on increasing the supply of residential units of all forms here in Woodstock to make housing more attainable for more people. We welcome opportunities to increase density in our established neighborhoods, but we want to work collaboratively with developers because we also know that together we're better. Our residents can provide context about the character of our neighborhoods. And it would be amazing to see proposals that honor those characteristics while still offering more options for people to live. In our pledge, we also highlighted the importance of taking a holistic view of housing supportive infrastructure to include things like adequate health and childcare services, educational institutions, and recreational facilities. Because we know that access to services, opportunities to learn, and social interaction are important for people at all stages of life. Too many families don't have access to a primary care physician. And that's why the city has implemented a number of initiatives to help attract more doctors here to Woodstock. As part of this year's budget, Council approved new funding to offer scholarships for Woodstock residents currently enrolled in medical school and residency training. We will also be introducing a new forgivable loan program to help offset up to $30,000 of the costs associated with setting up a family practice here in the city of Woodstock. We're partnering with Western University's Schulich School of Medicine to host a medical discovery camp for local high school students. This program allows participants to gain insight into the local needs and some of the possible careers in the medical field with the hope that they choose to stay in Woodstock when they are ready to start their careers. We continue to strongly advocate on behalf of community members alongside partners like the Upper Thames Valley District School Board to ensure they have access to essential services like education and childcare. We submitted a letter by the Ministry of Education supporting their request to expand the new school being built in north of Woodstock before the construction tender was even issued. The project's getting underway this year with a construction contract just being awarded earlier this month and expected to open 2026-2027 school year. In fact, yesterday I just got the invite for the groundbreaking. There will be room for more than 850 students and have 80 plus childcare spaces. We're seeing more interest and demand for our recreation and leisure programs. Since it was first identified in the city's strategic plan, we have expanded the number of programs being offered for youth. We now have a range of programs for children and youth, including drop-in turf time, arts and creative activities, recreational sports, and leadership development programs. Last year, we had a 57% increase in our summer camp participation with over 1,500 kids registered. But get this year we already have 1,600 kids registered for summer camp, another record. We're continuing to expand and plan for new community facilities so that we can deliver programs and services to help people be active and engaged here in our community. Later this year, we'll be launching a feasibility study to inform the future of indoor community recreation facilities here in Woodstock. As we look to decommission the Civic Center Arena, we want to understand what the needs and wants of the community are so we can anticipate future budget demands. We've recently converted Golf Hall at the Reeves Community Complex to a multifunctional gym space to better respond to the needs of our residents. This has allowed us to offer more pickleball courts and the times, youth basketball, and floor hockey. We have a new multi-purpose room at Cowan Sportsplex that will allow us to offer more recreation and fitness programs like yoga or PA day and summer camps, and even be rented out for birthday parties. We're excited to be moving forward with a new splash pad at the Reeves Community Complex that even may be ready this summer if all goes well. Council once again supported waiving all admission fees to the outdoor wading pool and the spray pad at Southside Aquatic Center. All of these initiatives help contribute to the character of our community, our quality of life, and our well-being. In 2023, we introduced the first of its kind for the City of Woodstock, the Mayor's Task Force for Social Well-being. Our first year was spent developing a coordinated encampment response with other community partners to address the urgent issue in our community. We assessed who was already working to address concerns stemming from encampments and supporting those living in them. This allowed us to reduce any duplications, pool our resources to a coordinated response, and build relationships to facilitate access that was previously not possible. Because of this coordinated response process, we were able to connect with vulnerable members of our community in the encampment sites and ensure they had access to all services and the resources to support them. Through the task force, we're also able to provide some critical funding for operation sharing, to launch a mobile warming center to help those without stable housing stay safe over the winter. And with the expansion of the emergency overnight shelters, see an additional 25 beds, there's even more support for some of the most vulnerable people here in our community. We helped alleviate some of the safety concerns from businesses and property owners located near encampments by assisting with removal of more than 6,000 kilograms of debris. We now have an effective encampment response process and well-established relationship in place, so this work can continue as a standard course of business. I attribute much of our success to our unified focus and coordinated efforts. We know that together, again, we are better. One of my favorite things to do as mayor is to visit our local schools. It is such a privilege to speak to our youth of our community in their civics, or law classes, or through the Mayor for a Day program. It fills me with such pride to show off the features that make our community so great. I love being able to introduce them to information about their city that helps them understand how all the pieces fit together and how much there is to offer right here in the city of Woodstock. So just like seniors who find social connection and enrichment opportunities through Southgate Center, we need to ensure that youth have access to opportunities and support so they feel safe, engaged in their community, and that they have the opportunities to succeed. Which is why we are so thrilled to learn of the funding earmarked for Welkin that will allow them to become one of the next fully funded hubs through the province's Youth Wellness Hubs Ontario program. This funding will allow the Brightside Youth Hub to expand both service offerings and hours to help more youth access services that contribute to their development and the well-being. The integrated service model ensures that each hub works with local service providers to facilitate access and remove the barriers to tailored, high-quality services for young people and their families, all in one location. Plans are just being firmed up for the official announcement, so stay tuned for details in the coming weeks. And with this additional focus on youth as planning for the dedicated youth hubs gets underway, it is the perfect time to explore ideas around how our incredible community partners can work together effectively and holistically to support youth well-being. We need to think creatively in how we can collaborate and coordinate initiatives and activities amongst all the various service providers to support our youth. Because together, we are better. And as the Youth Hub starts to take shape, there may be an opportunity to use the Mayor's Task Force coordinated efforts to rally behind the development and enhance opportunities for youth in our community. One of the themes that came up in a recent planning meeting around youth well-being was a discussion around the barriers of accessing services. One of the ways we can help remove barriers is by continuing to expand our transit services. But not only for youth, but to help all people get around this growing city. Expanded transit services will help open doors to employment opportunities by making it easier for people to and from work. It will address affordability issues by reducing dependency on cars and taxi services, which can be expensive. Our transit ridership continues to grow. In fact, can you guess how many rides there were in Woodstock Transit in 2023? Throw out some numbers. Anyone?
80,000.
80,000, close. 550,000 rides. Think about that, 550,000 rides, which is a new record high. I was blown away when I heard that number. And let's be clear, that does not include bus transfers. Okay, think about that. Revenue from transit ridership was up more than $135,000 last year. In our 2024 budget, after a lengthy debate, Council did approve an increase to service hours. So we now offer services from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. 6 days a week. And while we need to continue to expand service hours, ultimately, Council decided it was not the year to do it due to the significant cost and current economic climate. If you watched our Council meeting, that went on for a little while. That was well debated. I find it hard to believe, but this was my 10th city budget, and it was by far the toughest. It was the most challenging budget process I've been through in my entire time on Council. We understand the financial stresses people are facing, and that factored heavily into all our decision making as we considered all the requests before us. And I just want to remind everybody, we live in the city too. We do pay the taxes, and we feel it. We know it. In addition to the waiving of waiting pool fees, approving new physician recruitment programs, expanding transit hours, Council also increased funding reserves for bridges and road reconstruction, as well as street lighting, so we can minimize the impact on future tax years. Council also voted in favor of proceeding with the first portion of the downtown streetscape plan. Construction will start later this year and see the revitalization of the section of Dundas from Riddell to Wellington Street. The project is intended to create an inclusive, flexible, and more welcoming public space. And we know no one likes construction, and there will be bumps along the road, pardon the pun. But together, we can support our local businesses to help them get through this construction period, so we can come out the other side better together. In 2023, we were able to purchase a property right next door to City Hall, which will allow us to plan for a future expansion to City Hall and create an incredible civic square to provide more opportunities for programming, entertainments, and events, and make downtown a destination point. Events like Cultural Canvas, which was new in 2023 and returns June 8th, mark your calendars, celebrates art, culture, and community. It was wonderful to see people gathered in Museum Square to experience the works of local artists, hear from music around the world. Events like Cultural Canvas, lighting of Museum Square, and Street Fest bring more people downtown and allow downtown businesses and the BIA to leverage the foot traffic and attract all new audiences. More than 800 people responded to the survey, asking for input on how best to move forward with the implementation of the downtown streetscape project, or even if we should. People were given the opportunity to share their thoughts on the project with Council, and nearly 400 people took that opportunity. It's one of the best surveys I've seen. And speaking for myself and some other members of Council, we appreciate that input, that people took the time and were invested in our community to provide their thoughts on how to make Woodstock better together. We want to see our community members engaged, participating, And we will continue to seek input from the public and initiatives that help shape our community. The feedback you provide helps us keep informed many of the important and often very difficult decisions council must make. And we know, as much as we try, it's not possible to make everyone happy 100% of the time. Please know that even when a decision doesn't go the way you wished, that we value the thought and the time your effort took to share your input with us, either directly or through the contact information you can find on our website for all members of council, or through formal surveys and even public meetings. Now, we promise we will continue being open and transparent with the feedback we receive. There are lots of ways to keep informed about what is happening here in our city. The city's website, cityofwoodstock.ca, is a great place to find information, as is our What's on Woodstock magazine that is delivered right to your homes 8 times a year. All of our public council meetings are open to the public, streamed live on our YouTube channel, and also available on Rogers TV. Many of us on council are active on social media and happy to engage with you there. Just make sure you connect with our official accounts by choosing follow, not friend request, because as much as I'll never say no to making a new friend, apparently Facebook has a limit and hasn't let me accept any more friends for a few years now, unfortunately. So please be sure to search and follow Mayor Jerry Acchione on any social media site, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, X, whatever it is now. You get the point. QR codes here on the screen as well. Another example of how we're engaging with folks in our community is with some of our recent initiatives our economic development team is working on. We recently met with some of our commercial realtors to understand more about their needs and brainstorm ideas for new ways to promote the downtown. Some of you are here this morning. We also had the opportunity to take another group on a tour of our industrial areas to talk about some of the recent activities and answer the questions they have around here in the city of Woodstock. Thanks to a couple of significant developments, commercial sector construction activity increased substantially in 2023, jumping from $13.5 million the year before, which was good, to this year more than $40 million. This more than doubled both our 5 and 10-year commercial sector averages. While residential construction activity makes up nearly 50% of the annual construction value, 2023 was a big year for industrial developments, nearly doubling the 5-year average. In the first 3 months of 2024, we've already issued industrial building permits for $58 million construction value, which is around $8 million more than we typically issue in an entire year. Last year, I shared that we were getting ready to put out a tender for the city's newest industrial park at the crossroads of the 401 and the 403. I'm pleased to say that of the 85 acres available, we've already sold more than 70 acres, which will lead to the construction of more than 700,000 square feet of new industrial space along the 401. Now, one of those companies that we're excited to welcome to Woodstock is Stigterstall Canada, who has chosen Woodstock as their first location outside of Europe. Wow. Their parent company, Stigterstall BV, is headquartered in the Netherlands and has been in business since 1956. Their new facility will be used for warehousing and distribution of the heavy plate steel that deliver to marine industries in more than 30 countries around the world, right here from Woodstock. How cool is that? Another multinational company setting up shop in Woodstock is Valo Biomedia, headquartered in Germany with facilities in Europe, South America, and the US. Valo Biomedia has chosen Woodstock as the Canadian headquarters. From its Jack Ross Ave Drive, the company will receive vaccine-compliant eggs from farms throughout the region, where they will clean, store, incubate, and ship specified pathogen-free eggs to the Canadian vaccine industry. High Noon Investment Corporation is planning to build a nearly 113,000 square foot facility supporting the food processing and local agricultural sector, which could see an additional 300 new jobs created once fully operational. These new facilities support the local construction and building materials sector and create new industrial tax assessments, meaning that the costs associated with a growing city can be spread across even more taxpayers. They also create a range of job opportunities at all levels, which means Woodstonians can find good paying jobs closer to home that match their education and skill sets. What's really exciting for our economic development team, and the rest of us should be excited as well, is that these new businesses help diversify the local economy so that the city is less reliant on one sector. And more good paying jobs means there is more income that can recirculate in the community to be spent in our restaurants, shops, and other businesses just like yours here in this room. And none of these initiatives I've touched on today would be possible without our incredible, and I'm proud to say, award-winning staff. Our passionate, dedicated, and talented staff have received recognition from community organizations and industry associations for our efforts in economic development, aquatics, parks and rec, and the environment. You can see a few of the recent awards on the screen behind me. Brian Connors, our Director of Parks and Rec Department. We got Len Manger, Brad Hammond for our Economic Development Team were presented with a President's Award for their industry associations. We also proudly received the Leader in Sustainability Award for a battery recycling program. Our staff have been asked to speak at national and international events, including Mary Reed, the Director, Curator of the Woodstock Art Gallery, who spoke before the Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs and International Trade about the role Canadian culture and arts can play in international relations. Others, like Trevor Warner from our Parks Department, was not only recognized as Sports Turf Manager of the Year, but helped share his expertise so others can learn about the amazing initiatives we offer, again, right here in the city of Woodstock. These are the people who deliver important and high quality services to the public so that we can build a community together. I want to extend my sincere appreciation to the Chamber and for organizing this event, and then of course inviting me to speak today. Thanks to TMMC for your generous support today and throughout the year at numerous community events. Thank you to the Southgate Center for hosting. Please watch for my membership shortly. Thanks to Ifan Huda for moderating the session. Matt Power from Power Web Media for being here today and recording this so that those who are unable to attend or who chose to sleep in can keep up to date on some of the incredible things happening in this great city. And thank you to Rogers TV for being here as well. Alone, we can do so little, but together, we can do so much. Love that quote. I also have to thank each and every one of you, your participation, your commitment, and your investment of time and effort into the community to help make Woodstock a great place to live, raise a family, and of course, have a business. Because I truly believe together, we are better. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. I was told to keep it under 2 hours, so I did that. So that was the first step. So I've got a few minutes here. I know people are probably going to be getting ready to leave here. But I wanted to open up a little bit for some questions. So let's start. Anyone have any questions?
Jerry,
Yes.
congratulations on your birthday. Now you're old enough to be my son.
Thanks, Dad.
Recycling, green bin, zero waste in the city.
Yeah.
Where are we headed? Because I think each and every one of us can get overwhelmed by the inability to make a difference. But if we think we're making a difference, we will.
Yeah, yeah.
So how do we
I think
participate?
I think you hit on it right there. I think we all have to do a little piece of it. Makes a big part of that community. I did mention that we did win the award for battery recycling. That's over at James Street. So that is because of the public bringing stuff to the city to recycle, right? It's not the city going out and going through your house and picking up the batteries. No, this is from the community. You are the key. You are helping us. You decide when you go to the events here in the city of Woodstock to bring a water bottle, a refillable water bottle, instead of some plastic. Okay? We are working as a city. Just recently, we had a presentation made for zero waste. We'll get there. I don't want to kid anybody and say we're there already. There's a lot of work that has to go into, because remember, we got to put that back onto those people with the services, right? The person with the food truck now has to really think and possibly add a lot of expense to what they're going to be offering for us. So it's a true joint effort, and we'll continue doing it. And I ask everybody in this room to tell everybody that we all got to do better that way. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, great question. Anyone else? Yeah.
Sorry, we're a new business to Woodstock.
Welcome to Woodstock. Yes.
And I know I've participated heavily with the city of Kitchener in many things. Is the city of Woodstock set up so if businesses want to contribute to some of the projects for growth that it's taxable as a charitable donation?
Wow, I've never been asked that before.
'Cause I know the city of Kitchener is set up that way, where if you want to donate to a project, it's
I'm looking at the CAO right now to help me out here. I don't know. I don't know. Do you get a tax receipt when you donate to the city? To any municipality? Yes? Yes.
I think it's possible.
You bring the check, we'll find you a receipt. We'll make something happen. We'll make it happen.
Jerry, I just had a question about, I know you served on council as
Yeah.
well as.
2 terms.
Yeah,
Yep.
2 terms council, and, as mayor, what has been your biggest challenge?
Biggest challenge is actually trying to do as much as I can. And that's not a complaint. I love this job. Anybody knows me knows, like, I am thriving. I love going to events. Yes, I sit in 6 to 10 hours of meetings a day, it seems, but it's those 2 hours at the end of the day that I'm going to an event and getting to talk about Woodstock and just getting to brag about how great we are that I love. So the toughest part of the job is, I think, just that going from a 12-hour day, which was fairly normal, to that 14-hour day. But again, when it's something you love so much, it's not, I don't find it that bad. Now, I don't know, my wife might disagree with me there, as we don't see each other a lot, and it's actually funny how we go to events together, but yet we drive separately, because she's just as busy as I am going to some other committee, and we'll try to meet somewhere, have a bite to eat, and then kind of take off again. But that's the biggest challenge.
But what are some of the things that keep you awake at night?
Right now, housing. Yeah, that's a pretty long list, as she said. Housing is probably the most common complaint's a little harsh, but statement I hear. Trying to keep our family living here in the city of Woodstock. Like I said, I have adult children. I have a grandchild now. I mean, I want them to stay in the city of Woodstock, just like all of your families. I want your families to stay close and knit. And I got a little bit lucky of with my mom when she was looking for a place. We ended up finding her a place in Innerkip, so it was close. But let me tell you, that was tough. That was really tough. Housing and of course homelessness. We can't ignore that. That's been a big rise. But again, as a city, I've really recognized that we can only do so much. It's community partners that really help us. I mean, we have the Woodstock Hospital here that takes a brunt of it daily. Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah, thank you. That was a good question. Yeah. Anyone else? Yes.
Very exciting to see that the Batulo Ridge Alley Business Park is nearly sold out,
Yeah.
and there's still some exciting economic development happening in the province with some of the EV stuff and whatnot.
Yep.
Where's the next phase of growth? Like, where does the city take advantage of the next opportunities?
You know what? I wish I had a crystal ball. There's opportunities all the way around us. I mean, anybody that looks at a map can see where potentials are. Again, we're kind of hitting our limits here in the city of Woodstock, where we're going to rely on our community developers for assistance. So other landowners to kind of look at where good places to grow are. We'll keep discussing things with the province. We still want as much growth as we can because, again, the more businesses, that industrial commercial that we can have here in the city will drive our taxes that we pay every year down significantly. So it's very important to looking at that growth. Yeah.
I guess a follow-up question to that is,
Yeah.
are you saying that the current program the city's been on of developing additional industrial parks may be phasing out?
No, right now we're switching over. So the next part, now that the LEA farm is almost sold out, we have the Corlette piece. So on the other side of the 401, that's going to be the next kind of concentrated efforts for our next business park. And correct me if I'm wrong, it's 200 and some odd acres of land there. 230, I'm being told by economic development. So that's going to be the next section. So no, we're keeping moving along. But again, it just seems to take longer. Now we've got to bring power and water and everything under the 401 to access those lands. But once we have that there, then we're going to be off and running. Yeah, good, thank you. Yes,
Morning.
good morning.
Thank you very much for taking my question. So I'm gonna you touched on homelessness a little bit.
Sure.
But I'm gonna read my question because I don't wanna miss a beat. So last year you collaborated with stakeholders in Oxford County to identify, prioritize, and address the urgent mental health, addiction, and homelessness gaps that are impacting our cities, our businesses, right? So my first question is, can you talk about the progress and further plans? And it's, of course, the problem is not only in Woodstock, it's
No.
all around us, right? So that would be my first question.
Okay.
My second one would be, how can businesses help?
Well, businesses can, again, all kidding aside, but they can bring a check and help with some of those big expenses we're all facing, of course. But all kidding aside, I mean, that's really what we're trying to focus on as the mayor's task force, for that social well-being task force. By putting that in place, we're trying to address areas that we can focus on. As a city, you have to understand, like, we've got a two-tier system here. So this is the first time I feel the city has ever really had to address healthcare related items. And we're doing it. We're doing the best we can with what we have. But we have to continue advocating with the province. This is you mentioned, homelessness is not just a Woodstock problem. In fact, you look in some of our other neighboring communities and it's everywhere. It is everywhere. It needs to be addressed on a federal, provincial level. We are not going to see any immediate changes without some kind of big radical change. And I keep thinking in my head how quickly everybody worked together to address COVID. How quickly millions and trillions of dollars got thrown at a problem, and not saying it's solved, but we've moved on and know the new normal is here. and can only think that if we do some kind of concentrated effort as Canada and Ontario, we've got a hope of trying to fix things, or at least help those that want to be helped, because that's part of the other problem. And somebody that's contacted and goes into encampments on a semi-regular basis, it's heartbreaking. It truly is. It truly is. When you choose to live outside, when you have access to a friend's place or family, there's a lot of other factors at play. Yeah.
Mayor, we've got time for one more question.
One more question. Anyone else?
Jerry.
Yes.
As you know, we go to Advocacy Day. And
Yes, you
Park
do.
every
You do
year.
awesome. Yes.
And this year they mentioned to us that, we were talking to the housing minister, and they mentioned that the province is very open to making any of their properties that are not being used available to cities like Woodstock
Mhm.
for our own benefit because of land considerations and the need for housing, et cetera. So I was just wondering if you have any talks underway, or if we have opportunities there that you're already thinking about for Woodstock.
100%. In fact, we had a public meeting for the Omafra site. So that's over on Lakeview Drive. That's a provincial piece that fell under that category. It has been purchased by a developer, and that developer just a couple of weeks ago went ahead and did like a public planning meeting with that neighborhood to kind of show what they're thinking. Because again, recognizing in that neighborhood by itself is a lot of single family homes, there's condos and everything else. They came forward with some denser ideas and thoughts. The neighborhood doesn't always appreciate that, but we're working together and trying to do the best we can with all the land we have, not just provincial land. This is something we're doing very actively here in the city of Woodstock. We're looking at our own properties. In fact, we have our small business center up for sale right now because we're trying to get everything under one roof. So we're doing that actively everywhere here in the city of Woodstock. So thank you. Yeah. That's it.
Thank you, Mayor.
Am I done already?
I think so.
That seemed a little easy.